How to Write a Text-Dependent Analysis with 11 by Sandra Cisneros. Analysis is the detailed examination of the elements or structure of text by breaking it into its component parts to uncover interrelationships in order to draw a conclusion. Thompson and Lyons, 2017. Today's prompt: 11 by Sandra Cisneros. Authors often use figurative language to describe a character. Write an essay analyzing how the figurative language evokes the character Rachel in Sandra Cisneros' short story 11. Use evidence from the text to support your answer. So one of the two elements you'll examine closely is the figurative language used by Cisneros. The other element is Rachel's character. The prompt asks for a detailed examination of these two elements to uncover interrelationships. How does the figurative language, the author's craft, evoke the character Rachel? Then, the student must use those ideas to draw a conclusion about the text. Usually the conclusion is related to the author's message or theme. It looks like this symbolically. The assignment begins with close reading. Close reading examines what the author says, how the author says it, and why the author says it. Often this is done with 3 separate reads, each with a different purpose. The importance lies with defining a purpose before the read. Remember, you see what you look for. It's also important that students take notes in a journal where they document their ideas as they read. If it's not written down, the idea goes away. Here's one example of what it could look like. First read. What does the text say? What's the gist? This is sometimes referred to as a surface read. Second read. How did the author write? The reader rises above the surface level of the text and begins to examine it differently. This is called metacognition. What are the craft or literary elements? What are the writing techniques used? The prompt has designated figurative language as the primary focus, but recognize other craft elements. Third read. Look for symbols, associations, interrelationships. Make conclusions. It's important to take time to share, talk about, and display the notes students have taken after each read. Studies show that collaborative discussions, where students orally identify the literary elements and produce a visible product, better enable students to describe the author's content and infer the author's message. Here are some ways to start a discussion after each read. Be sure to have a class example of the work public for students to access. Now the student goes back and rereads the prompt. Write an essay analyzing how the figurative language evokes the character Rachel in Sandra Cisneros' 11. They want a detailed examination of these two elements to uncover how one affects the other. Then the student must use those ideas to draw a conclusion about the text. Begin by gathering the ideas and evidence from your notes and assembling them in one document. Organize them so it is easier to identify the interrelationships between the two elements. The older writer will organize the essay as a series of beats that resemble the 3 purposes for the different reads. The first beat will present the plot elements. Often this is an abbreviated version of the text that includes elements that will be discussed in the second and third beats of the essay. The second beat identifies all of the interrelationships between Cisneros' figurative language and Rachel's character. The writer explains why the author made these choices by describing the technique's effect on the reader. The third beat talks about the author's message. Draw conclusions based on the interrelationships you've identified. Identify the theme of the essay. This beat is also where you discuss how the story would change if one of the elements was changed. Highlighting this hypothetical change demonstrates a nuanced understanding of the text and the author's intentions. Text-dependent analysis is not new. That it is being expected from elementary and middle school students is. But with explicit support, all readers can complete a close reading of a text. With explicit support, all readers can identify the interrelationships between the component parts of the text. And with explicit support, all writers can organize their ideas and complete an essay explaining them. Good job!